Hey there, Charles here. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindfully Masculine podcast. This week, we will continue to discuss Self-Care for Men by Garrett Muntz, focusing this week on oral hygiene, keeping those teeth pearly white and that breath minty fresh. Please enjoy this episode and follow or like or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and enjoy our videos on YouTube. Thanks.
Good morning, Charles.
Keeping it weird every single episode. How do we do it?
Oh,
Keeping the magic alive.
know what that smell is?
Yes. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. I told you I got some startling information this morning that on a meme that I happened upon. German chocolate cake is not of German origin.
What?
Yeah, it's some American dude.
Yeah.
Some Yankee
Yeah.
named Sam German decided to make a new kind of chocolate cake, and now we have German chocolate cake.
That. Yeah. Nobody ever thinks of the last name is actually.
I know.
Okay. So,
I'm a little, I don't know, disappointed, let down. I don't know what.
okay.
I thought I was an enthusiast of German food, but it just turns out I like chocolate cake.
Well, turns out the Italian sub was made by Bob Italian, and
Guy in Kentucky named Cletus French invented the French fry.
French dressing, French fries.
Yeah. So now I just don't know what to believe about anything. It's a real crisis of faith. But other than that, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Yeah.
Did I already ask you that?
You did. Had a nice little trip for the first time on Brightline.
Oh, yes. Did your
This weekend, yeah.
train hit any cars or people?
No, neither. It was amazing. We actually got
Wow.
from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale
Played lottery this week.
in under 3 hours.
Okay.
It was a very smooth experience. So I really went with the intention of going, okay, look, there's a lot of stuff going on in South Florida that I'd like to go to, but don't want to have to commit like a whole weekend to in terms of going down there. Because listen, that drive, for whatever reason, down 95 is just a nightmare. There's like nothing. I fall asleep. I have to pull over at every rest stop to pee or whatever, or just take a nap sometimes. It's really, yeah. So anyway, I was thinking, hey, let's try this and see if it makes sense to just get a room for one night, go down for an event, take the Brightline down, take it back. How easy is it? Get in and out.
Right.
It's great. You don't have to, you can literally get there like 10 minutes before train leaves, and go
like Grand Central or Penn Station?
Is
it like
real,
that?
It's much easier.
Much
easier because there's a lot of room, no crowds. There was no line to get through any type of security.
All right.
You just kind of scan your phone. It lets you through these, plexiglass gates. You throw your bag up on the scanning machine. There was no wait for that. You can bring a much bigger bag on board if you want to. You can check bags. You can bring liquids and fluids. So we made a couple of drinks, and you sit there. You got some great Wi-Fi, and if you need food or drinks on the train, that's available to you there as well. And it only makes a couple of stops along the way. So it was a great experience. I highly recommend it. The only thing I would say is just make sure you're not going to try to change the train you're going to be going on or coming back on after you buy the tickets, because it literally doubles in price in order to make a change for the most part.
Yeah.
For most.
Yeah, that's right. I remember we were at Podfest talking about that. It's kind of like Spirit where, their change fees, it just makes more sense. Just buy a different ticket.
Right. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, do you know how many trains go down to South Florida and back up to Orlando per day?
Quite a few.
Like every hour, every other hour? Any idea?
It's almost like every hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. So there's a lot of
And where does it do West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami?
West Palm, it does Boca, West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, Aventura, and then Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no stops really between Orlando and West Palm?
West Palm.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not really much to see between Orlando and West Palm.
No.
So
It'd be great if they extended all the way to Key West. That would be fantastic.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Miami, we were talking about that.
And I've heard Orlando to Tampa maybe.
Oh, that would be a great one too.
Be on the agenda at some point too.
Well, Amtrak does do that. You can take a train from Orlando to Tampa and then also to Miami. So I did the Amtrak a while ago, which actually is cheaper than the Brightline, but it takes like 8 hours because you're making a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did, when I bought my car, I did a bus from Orlando to Sarasota.
Mm.
And it went Orlando, Tampa, then down to Sarasota. Took a while. I want to say it was about 4 hours because they did make several stops, not really between Orlando and Tampa, but once you get to Tampa, there's a bunch of stops. And then once you get down to Sarasota, Bradenton, there's a few stops. But it was like $4. I mean, it was like ridiculously cheap to do. And so, it's always a matter of trading time and money, and sort of working the levers.
Yeah.
What do you want to... Speaking of, I was talking to you yesterday about a trip that I planning to do at some point. I don't know when, where I go around the continental United States, visiting the southernmost point, the northernmost point, the easternmost point, and the westernmost point. Then I kind of decided, okay, I've got a lot of travel planned for this year, so I probably won't get around to it in 2024. But then I went back to my planning and I was looking at, there is a way in June specifically that if I wanted to, I could do the southernmost point and the northernmost point in the U.S. in a single day, where I wake up as far south as you can go. And then by the time I go to sleep, I've been as far north as you could go. And it's not that expensive, and it's a bit of a logistical challenge, but I think I can make it work, where I would basically take an inexpensive bus down to Key West on one day, spend the night in Key West, wake up and go to the southernmost point fairly early in the morning. And then at 7 a.m., I get on a flight from Key West to Winnipeg, Manitoba, and then drive from Winnipeg's airport back south, back into the United States, and visit Angle Inlet, Minnesota, the northernmost point in the lower 48, before bed. And I would do it on June 21st because that's the summer solstice. That's my longest day of the year.
Okay.
And so that would, because the journey from Key West to Winnipeg takes like 9 hours, including like a 3-hour layover in Atlanta that you can't be avoided.
Okay.
So I got to decide if that's a way I want to waste my time on a Friday in June to wake up.
Do I get a vote?
No, you do not. Wake up as far south as I can and go to bed as far north as I can and still be in America.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Again, we don't count Alaska for hijinks like this.
Right.
On either the northern or the western side.
Yeah. Well, right. So.
And then another day, I might try to make the east to west trip, where I watch the sunrise at a lighthouse in Maine, and then watch the sunset in Olympia National Park in Seattle.
Interesting.
Over the Pacific.
Okay. What is the thrill about doing all this in one day?
It's just something that people don't do, and that makes me want to do it.
Okay.
That really motivates a lot of my behavior. Like, oh, this is something that somebody else wouldn't do. I'm going to do it.
This is what sane people would not do.
Correct.
So
okay.
Let's push the envelope.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a mental and physical. I mean, not physical endurance. Obviously, running in a 5K is probably harder on your body, but the combination of the mental, the physical, the logistics, just figuring it out and making it happen. I don't know. That appeals to me.
It's
that's
interesting.
the kind of challenge I enjoy.
Okay.
So we'll see if I end up doing it in. I would have to choose one or the other on the summer solstice. I can't do both. I would have to do either north-south, and south to north works easier because I'm already in Florida. Yeah. Where the east to west thing is going to be more expensive and more time consuming. And I might be able to I don't have to necessarily do that on the longest day of the year, because when you fly from Maine to Seattle, the sun is working with you. So yeah, you can, you don't have to do that on a long day to still make it work. So I'm thinking about it.
All right. Well, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds really don't want to know.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy use of time and money, but again,
no kidding, dude.
It appeals to me. There's something in
whatever tickles your pink.
Something in my wanderer genes or whatever it is that thinks this is something you have to do.
Yeah.
It's funny, they in the Reacher book series, which is now an award-winning television show on Amazon Prime that I love. He talks about how, most people evolve whatever the gene is to want to sit by the campfire at the end of the day, and other people think, okay, it's time for me to leave. I gotta get out there and explore, and and doing it alone, just really something about that appeals to me. Just getting out there and doing it and making it happen.
I mean, if you look at our evolution, both are important.
Yeah,
right? Both of those genes are absolutely important for human survival, for sure.
Yeah,
to go out and find new land for people to migrate to, as well as to take care of the women and children and the community back by the campfire.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I can see need for both. So you are needed, and you're crazy. You're crazy genes.
Well, hope they're not needed too much, because I don't know that they're going to be around much more than 40 more years.
Okay. All right. Well.
All right. So let's get into the next chapter in Self-Care for Men by Garrett Muntz. This one is called Fix Your Teeth, Fix Your Life. And I have heard from other sources that basically how healthy you keep your teeth and gums does have a big effect on how healthy the rest of your body is.
Yeah.
Like specifically like your cardiac and circulatory system. If bad stuff is going on here, it's going to take the rest of the ship down with it.
And if you think about it, it's the first sign. If you don't have healthy teeth, that means the things that you're putting in that hole in your head for food aren't the right things. Because think about
that is a factor.
Think about how hard and the coating and everything is on our teeth, and think of how soft all of the rest of the stuff is on the inside. So if the teeth aren't healthy and they're showing signs of being decayed and destroyed, imagine what your insides are dealing with.
Yeah, but also remember, that not too long ago, when we were all on our healthy paleo diets, our teeth would break down and we'd lose the ability to eat and we would die. I mean, that was one of the reasons that the average, life expectancy was so low. I mean, I think fluoride in our water, fluoride in our toothpaste, and the ability to go to the dentist twice a year is probably an even bigger factor in our mouth health than our oral health if you're fancy.
What I've heard, and again, I haven't done a lot of deep dives, is that it doesn't really matter. Toothpaste doesn't really matter.
I've heard that the mechanics of
it's a mechanics. It's right. Yes, getting the crap off of your teeth. So because that's think about it. Whatever it is, food particles, whatever. That's going to attract bacteria because they're going to feed off of that.
Right.
And that's going to cause problems on your teeth. So
and that spot between your teeth and your gums is a real cozy spot for bacteria.
Exactly.
They like living there.
Right. Yeah. So flushing your teeth out with mechanically is much more important. And what I'd read was that toothpaste came about, and it wasn't very popular until a marketing agency decided to put mint in the paste.
Interesting. Okay.
And what happened was people got addicted to that
the minty fresh,
because you're associated
with
cleanliness, and you get that tingle,
I could see that.
and you want that feeling again. And so that's how people started to use toothpaste over and over and over again. And now toothpaste is just commonplace.
Yeah. So I guess you would assume that oral hygiene and longevity of your teeth has certainly gone up as science and medicine and widely available medical care has gone up, and dental care.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a correlation between the fact that we use toothpaste now and our teeth last longer, or if there's causation there, or if it's just correlated because we're doing a lot of other stuff right.
I mean, it might be one of those things that made the habit of actually using the mechanical brushing,
or the
it just made it more enjoyable. So people created that habit, and so now people are brushing more. The other
minimize that.
The other thing to think about too is the a lot of bacteria feed off of carbohydrates and sugary things, and so the more sugary things that we started to eat, I think also causes a little bit more of the cavities.
That makes sense.
If you're eating less of the sugary, sticky stuff, and it's not sticking on your teeth as much, you're not going to have as many cavities.
Yeah, I would think surely the technology we have as far as toothbrushes and dental floss and water picks and stuff like that, just being able to get the bits of whatever kind of food you're eating out of those crevices has got to be a huge plus.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of the equipment here in just a second. But
that being said, I've heard that it's actually recommend chewing gum because that takes up any like food part of it. Like kind of gets stuck in your teeth. You know, the gum will kind of pull that out of it as well.
So much.
Yeah.
I would do that. I do not like gum. Now I'm a sucker for other breath freshening things like Listerine strips, the little Listerine pump. I really miss icebreakers. Did you ever have those? They're the little, they look like little glass balls.
What do you mean you miss them? I still see them in the supermarkets.
Not, well, what do you mean by? The icebreaker mints are still available. But there were these like BBs, and you put them in your mouth and then they would burst. And like
not experienced.
Oh, I'll show you some videos and some pictures. I feel like I remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter, I was like, why is he wasting his money on this social media platform where he's definitely rich enough he could bring the icebreaker liquid gels back? And I think history will prove me right on that position. Okay, so the other thing is people who are happy with their teeth will smile more, and the correlation between you smile more when you're happy and you get happier when you smile more. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason to take care of the hardware.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me until I read this book. I give this guy credit because he said, they found that people who suffer from depression neglect their oral hygiene.
I highlighted that too. I would say they neglect all their hygiene, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I would think so.
Probably. And I think, it's probably a mental state of, I don't feel good, so I'm not going to do things to make myself look good.
Right.
Or potentially even feel better because my understanding, my limited knowledge about depression is that when you're really depressed, that's something that you kind of get used to, and that's kind of your comfort zone. And it's difficult. It's one of those where you can't be like, oh, just feel better, or stop it, or or
go for a walk.
Just go for a walk, or smile. Right? There's a whole cascade of things going on mentally that you don't actually want to feel better. Unfortunately,
no. Yes. I mean, intuitively, that sounds 100% true. I mean, when you even consider, why do we replay our traumas in our adult relationships? Because comfort overrides pleasure in a lot of, even painful comfort. It's still comfort. It's what we're used to. It's what we know. And so, I can definitely see that depression would have a huge impact on your ability to take care of yourself, because you also, I mean, it sucks, the negative feedback.
Or even desire, not even just ability. I mean, ability on top of that, but the desire to even do something kind to yourself.
Yeah.
For yourself.
And investing in yourself, proving to yourself, hey, you're worth doing difficult things for, is one of the best ways to make yourself feel better. And it's the thing you feel like doing the least when you're in the middle of it. Yeah. So, it kind of sucks how this bag of goo in our skulls, it will work out what it thinks it needs to do to keep us alive, but keeping us happy just isn't part of the equation in a lot of the time. It's like, I'll keep you alive, but that's all I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes it even fails at that. Okay, so some studies, this surprised me, some studies have shown that only 64% of Americans visit the dentist once a year, and 23% of us, a quarter of us, are walking around having not brushed our teeth in 2 days or more.
I guess listen, man, just like everything else, if you don't have habits, these routines built into your world, I could see it just not happening, And this is the reason why I mentioned this is, you ever go on vacation and I've done it where, all right, I haven't brushed my teeth for a day or two. It's happened, or I haven't showered, or I have not followed my exact same, routine. And it's in a different environment. It's a different world. So becomes a different habit. It becomes more difficult to do because it's like, oh, well, my toothbrush isn't exactly where it is. My toothpaste, I left that in the bag over there. and then, you've got something else distracting you. Before you know it, you're not doing all the healthy routines. And that includes also if you're taking vitamins, if you are eating a certain way. A lot of times, that's why I think a lot of us get sick on vacation. It's not that we're partying our faces off and then end up getting sick, which obviously happens at times, if we're drinking all day. But on top of that, all these other healthy routines that we're used to doing, they go out the window because they're more difficult to do.
Interesting. I've had the opposite effect especially when I travel solo, and usually the hotel bathroom is very clean. So pretty much every time I go in the hotel bathroom, I will see my little toiletry kit with my toothbrush, my mouthwash, my toothpaste, my deodorant. And if I'm just going in there to use the bathroom, I'm like, I'll go ahead and refresh the deodorant. I'll go ahead and brush my teeth since I'm seeing it. It's right there. Why not? Where my own house is a little bit more, everything's a little more organized. Stuff is put away. And
okay.
Not so in my face as it is. So it's less work for me to do it a little bit more in a hotel.
So that being said, because you're very limited on space in your place, I think the key, what you said, is put away, right? So if it's not there in your face, out of sight, it's out of mind. Whereas, if a lot of people, we've got everything kind of in the bathroom, like you just described, right on the counter. So, and it's like the first time we get up in the morning, we go to the bathroom, and then, everything is right there, reminding us to kind of get into our routine.
Yeah, so, maybe I'll look at redesigning see if there's some things like my toothbrush and my things like that I could put on a hook instead of...
there you go. Or maybe like a little shelf or something like that.
Yeah. A shelf that, or...
Because they make the sticky shelves for like inside the shower and stuff. You can put that like outside or whatever, like next to the mirror or whatever. I did that in my camper, and that helps remind me. Oh yeah, I got to brush my teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still pretty on target with the twice a day that is recommended.
That's great.
I don't know that I go 2 minutes twice a day. That's a long time. Now I have recently gotten a new toothbrush. We'll talk about that in a second. That is electric. It's a battery powered electric. It's not rechargeable or anything too fancy. Yeah. But the main reason I got it is because it's got that built-in timer.
That's exactly right.
Where it'll tell me, okay, 30 seconds. I've got 4 quadrants. I do each quadrant for 30 seconds, and then it shuts off when I'm done.
It's a lot easier. Sometimes when I switch to a manual toothbrush,
it's hard to know how. Have I been doing this for 5 minutes? 5 seconds. I can't tell.
And I mean, and I've timed it once in a while, and it seems so much longer.
I know
when you're doing the manual.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about. We just said twice a day, 2 minutes is what is recommended. Only 40% of adults floss their teeth every day. I did look up when I was talking about flossing. I looked up on the flossing picks to see how they rate. And basically, what they say is, okay, those are better than not flossing at all, but you can't get as much of the surface of your tooth, especially under the gum line, with those picks as you can with the real winding the floss around your fingers.
Every time I use the picks, and I've asked my dental hygienist and my dentist about that, and they absolutely said the same thing. Yeah,
better than nothing, but not as good as real floss.
You use real floss because you can get a wrap around the
right
a lot better with that. Yeah,
I hate I wish there was. Now I have used. Have you ever used the tape floss or the? There's
not the tape.
I don't like the stuff. I don't like what feels like fishing line in my mouth. And there is another kind that is more of a cottony cloth feeling.
Okay.
That I may need to go ahead and get that and switch back from just using the picks to using the
they make
more comfortable.
Coating.
Yeah.
They make different coatings.
I don't like putting monofilament fishing line in my mouth. It doesn't feel good. So I'm going to look at I'm going to do some shopping for some mouth care accessories, and I'll talk about a little more about those as we get to those sections. But I'm going to pick up some new stuff. Alcohol-free mouth rinse, that's a hard pass for me. It tastes gross. I believe at Disney World, when my ex and I used to stay on property frequently, and we would, I forgot my mouthwash. They only sold like alcohol-free mouthwash.
Oh,
it is so gross, and it doesn't give you that good burning feeling that you get from mouthwash. It's part of what I'm in it for.
So Listerine, absolutely.
Yeah. even Scope, I think they have alcohol-free Scope. Disney, it's not as good as regular Scope.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my dad would use the regular, before they even had mint flavored anything.
Oh, the
Listerine,
yeah.
And he'd have it in his mouth for like a minute or two, and I'd try it, and I'd be like, I couldn't do 10 seconds. I'm like, you're a freak.
If you do it long enough, it stops burning.
Okay.
Yeah, because
when the tears stop coming out of the sides of your eyes.
Yes, whatever is in your mouth reacting to the burn, either numbs it or whatever. So if you stick with it long enough, that burn does go away, and you can hold it in your mouth indefinitely. I found that out once when I was driving on my way somewhere, and I wanted to have good breath, and there was no, like, I was driving and there was no convenient stop sign, stoplight, anything to spit it out.
I'm spitting in the sunroof.
This was before I did not have any kind of options, no options like that in the car I was in. So it was either stick my head out and spit it all over the side of my car, or just hold it until, and I just held it long enough. And yeah, after 30 or 40 seconds, I was like, oh, this doesn't hurt anymore. That's weird. I didn't know that was, I didn't
know that was a thing.
It is. Now you know. Tongue scraping, I also did some research on that. And apparently it can and does help with bad breath, and really not much of anything else.
I do it every morning. I got in the habit of it. I like to use it because I have this, I feel like I get a little bit of a film on my tongue in the morning, and that takes it off better than people, just brush your tongue. It's not the same thing. It's like a metal scraper, and it does such a good job. It's
metal.
It's metal.
Yeah, I've looked at the plastic ones, and I haven't pulled the trigger on.
I got the metal one, and I scrape it 3 times, and it's great. I
would imagine like a stainless would probably get less funky than a plasticky one would.
Yeah.
Especially if I keep it in the shower, where, I do my usual morning brushing of the teeth, as opposed to my sink where I do my evening toothbrushing. If I kept it in the shower, then I could use it in the shower, rinse it off, and then just hang it back in its spot. Where with a plastic one, I'd be like, this thing is going to get
nasty.
I don't think the same thing about my toothbrush, but I'm sure it also does get nasty.
Yeah, I mean,
I always rinse it off with the hot water before and after I use it, but still.
Well, he does talk about changing the brush every 3 to 4 months.
I'm more of a 6-month guy.
I am too. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I kind of with the electric ones, it has the little color coating on it, so it shows when that color is faded from the then you know it's ready to change.
Yeah, I do.
That's kind of how I
had some roommates in college where, like, their toothbrushes, like, the bristles wouldn't even be like lined up.
Oh no! Oh yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, I mean,
somebody scrubbing the toilet.
I mean, toothbrushes were 89 cents when I was in college. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, it's time to, do I need to buy this for you? What's going on here? I think it's done. Yeah, so let's talk about our equipment. I use an Oral-B Pro Health battery-powered toothbrush that I got on Amazon.
Okay.
I've had it for probably 3 or 4 months now, and I've not had to replace the batteries yet, and it was $15. And it does have the timer and stuff.
Okay.
And I like it. It's getting the job done for me. I bet you use a fancier thing.
I have a rechargeable one, so I have a Philips Sonicare, so it's, I mean, it's about $100, maybe a little bit more, but it's lasted me. I mean, it seems it's got to be 7-8 years now.
Okay.
Whatever. Not the brush, but the actual.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And it has.
What did the replacement heads cost you? Do you know? Ballpark?
It's not crazy expensive.
$10-15,
yeah,
something like that.
Right. And it'll last, it'll literally like 6 to 8 months, something like that. And it's easy. It's rechargeable. You just drop it in the rinsing glass, and it just charges through that. So
nice.
Okay. Really easy. It's really easy to use, and it's got a whole 3 different settings on it in terms of the strength of how hard it's vibrating. And then it's got the timer, and it's also got a gum timer on it as well. So the gum health function. So you get the 2 minutes for the teeth, and then they do another 2 minutes for your gums, so you can actually use the brush for your gums. Now, what my dentist told me was, got to be careful brushing gums too much, because they were a little bit swollen and bloody and bleeding a little bit. And they said if you're using it too much, you could actually be contributing to your gums receding a little.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
So they said don't brush the gums for like that full 2 minutes. That was my case specifically.
Right.
Other people what I've heard is if your gums are bleeding, you want to brush it a little bit more,
Right.
to bring the stimulation so it heals that part of your mouth again. So you want to actually, it's okay to like let that bleed a little bit as you're brushing.
Yeah. That makes sense that you would want to, things get stronger when they're used pretty much in the body.
Good point.
So, he does say that, the downside of electric toothbrushes is that they're expensive. Again, I paid $15 for mine on Amazon, and the only ongoing cost is going to be batteries for it and new heads. And those are not very expensive, either of those. And, I would say, compared to replacing a regular toothbrush, I would think over time it's going to be pretty close to the same. And, the flossing picks, the best solution is the one that you're actually going to use.
100%. And so if it's more enjoyable to use the electric, then do that.
Yeah. Now, I don't take it on the road with me. On the road, I just use I've got a little folding toothbrush, and that's what stays in my toiletry kit, and I'm fine for using that when I'm traveling. But when I'm at home in the shower, that's where I leave once a day I use a manual, and the other time of day I use the electric, and I'm okay with that process. Have you done any at-home whitening, Dan?
I have
your teeth, not your skin.
So I use the strips.
The Crest 3Ds.
Yep. I use those. Those work pretty well. I've also done it I've done the Zoom whitening at the dentist as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's that? Did it hurt? And was it expensive?
It was a little bit uncomfortable sitting there with your mouth in that position in order for that light to work in there. And then afterwards, they were sensitive for a few days.
Okay.
To the point of where it was noticeable.
Now,
but it was much more of a dramatic difference. And then they give you a little gel to bring at home. They give you a little tray to use, so you can use a higher and a stronger gel than what's on like the whitening strips. And to kind of as a boost.
The whitening strips, consumer products max out at 14% hydrogen peroxide. I learned that in my research this morning. So whatever you can just get at the store is going to max out at 14%, where they can go higher than that at the dentist. Did they reference anything like the number of shades brighter that the Zoom treatment was going to give you? Do you remember?
No, they didn't.
Because one of the things I like about Crest's marketing on their white strips is like each of their boxes will have a number that says if you use all of the strips in this box as directed, you'll go up this many shades of white.
Yeah, they said it results may vary, which means that's a little bit more accurate. I feel like depending on where you're starting from, how your teeth respond to it. So.
Yeah, so one thing I did read was teeth whitening toothpaste generally has 1% hydrogen peroxide, and just that 1%, if you use it twice a day, can increase the whiteness of your teeth 62% over a 6-week period, which is a pretty big difference.
Wow. That's hard to believe.
Well, it was on Google, so...
I don't know. What I didn't realize was some of the whitening toothpaste, it's not chemical. It's an abrasive. It's got
that makes sense.
And I was like,
I mean, all toothpaste has a little bit of an abrasive,
right? But you don't really want to be scraping off
the thing that
the important stuff, right? Like, I didn't realize they actually made abrasive toothpaste like that. So,
enamel. I learned on an episode of Jeopardy is the hardest substance made by the human body.
Right.
The person who ringed in to answer said calcium, and they were like, "Nope, sorry." And then nobody else guessed. So Trebek said it's actually enamel. That's the hardest.
So again, I'm going to go back to this. I'm really anti-sugar, but because think about that. Like something's able to eat through that enamel, the hardest substance in the human body, right? You can't tell me that it's not doing some other kind of damage.
On the inside? Well, it's not the sugar directly doing it though, right? It's the bacteria that love the sugar that are able to then break down the enamel.
Absolutely. In the body.
Now in the body, at least you got your stomach acid to keep those bacteria at bay, which is also why probiotics are so hard to get benefit out of, right?
So something else to think about though is if you look at like table sugar out, and you look at the sharp little granules and things, right?
Yeah.
So you picture that as it's not exactly the same, but once it's digested and gets into the bloodstream, if you have too much of that, all those molecules actually damage your blood cells and the lining of your arteries, your veins, and so a lot of times, a lot of our diseases are kidney disease, eye disease, heart disease. It's because of too much sugar in the blood. It's damaging the cell walls. And then what happens is if there's a little bit of a problem, cholesterol comes in and starts to patch that.
Oh,
and then you have if you have too much cholesterol and from your body, now you can potentially clog that artery, and that causes kidney diseases, causes heart attacks, and that's from a lot of times just the sugar.
Yeah.
If your sugar is constantly, if you have a lot of sugar and it's constantly high, it's constantly kind of sandblasting all of the important pieces inside. Yeah, and so that's why it's a lot of times the diseases are not just from high fat and it's from high fat and high carbohydrates.
Right. Yeah.
That's the issue, right? So
yeah, I heard somebody say that, and that's why a cheeseburger is like the worst thing you can eat.
Yeah,
it's not
not the meat, right?
Right, it's a combination,
right? So you can do a higher carb if you're watching your fats and at that point, right? Or you can do a higher fat if you're watching your carbs. But when you start combining them both, and unfortunately, those are some of the best tasting things like pizza and cheeseburgers and stuff. Sure, yeah, that's where you got to be careful.
Yeah, I did give blood the day before yesterday. And I'm looking at my cholesterol chart.
Yeah.
And I hit, the last 2 times I've donated, I've been over the high cholesterol line, which they put it at, desired is under 200 and high is anything over 240. And my last 2 times I've been over 240. And I could pretty much look at this chart and tell you exactly when I was eating good keto and when I wasn't. And my cholesterol goes higher when I'm not eating keto. And when I am eating keto, it goes down.
Okay. Yeah. So that's really a bad.
Right. Because it's just overall cholesterol.
It's overall cholesterol. It doesn't look at LDL, HDL, the small LDL particles, the VLDL. And also, cholesterol isn't really an indicator of heart disease. It's triglyceride level.
Yeah. I wish
that's the amount of fat circulating in your blood.
Triglycerides has always been they've correlated. When my cholesterol's been high, my triglycerides have been too high, and that's why way back in the day, my doctor wanted to put me on a statin and and prescription grade fish oil and all that stuff. And in my case, just dropping 40 pounds pretty much fixed those problems for me.
Yeah, it's the circulating fat. So, and then the other thing, if you're eating lower carbs, your body's using more of the fat that you have. Yep. And that's going to use those triglycerides. It's not going to hang out in your bloodstream anymore, and that's where the problem comes in.
All right, we were able to crowbar our love of fat and protein into the conversation yet again.
Yes.
Let me tell you about the white strip. So I told you Crest 3Ds are 14% hydrogen peroxide, the highest level you can buy, and their fanciest product they have out right now that will increase your tooth whiteness by 34 shades in 20 days. It is both the strips and the LED light. So you use put on the strip for an hour on the uppers and lowers. And then at the end of the hour, you do the light for 5 minutes. And 20 days, 34 shades. It's currently $80 on Amazon. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. And then I'm also going to buy the...
Let's document it. Let's see some pictures.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I want to see some before, after.
I'm going to do some... I'm going to get the whole Crest product suite, which includes their mouthwash, their whitening toothpaste, and the white strips. I want you to use all 3 of them at once, which of course they do. Now, for my shower time regimen, I'll still stick with my electric toothbrush, my Crest gum restore toothpaste that I use in the shower, and my Listerine gum treatment that I use in the shower. But for my nighttime regimen, I'm going to use all the whitening stuff that Crest makes, and then see how it. So that'll be the variable.
Okay,
we'll see what impact it has over 20 days.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I'm assuming you're not going to limit your stain drinking habit, coffee and everything. You're going to keep that consistent, right?
Food habits are going to be what they are.
Okay, good.
And I'm not going to really mess with that too much, and we'll see what effect it has. I just got to figure out a way to, from a lighting perspective, a way to consistently light my mouth the same. I guess I'll just probably use the light on my phone that should overpower whatever the ambient light is and be fairly consistent no matter what time of day I take the picture.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll do, and I'll see how it goes. They do mention light therapy or LED light therapy, which is what they use at the dentist, but now apparently it's available in the consumer products as well. And a whitening pen is used to kind of spot clean, any stains that you might have. They do talk about professional whitening, which we've already addressed. It's expensive, it can hurt, but it lasts for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the benefit right there. Other than your color of your teeth, how straight they are is a factor. And so I'm starting up with a new dentist soon, and I'm going to take my maintenance a little bit more seriously. I may have a cavity or two that need to be addressed. I'm not really in any pain right now, so I'm not too concerned. But once I sort of get that going, then I'm going to start talking about one of the invisible alignment protocols and the products that are out there that I might be able to do, because I do have some crowding. I may need to get a couple of the molars yanked out to make room for straightening things up, but I'm planning on doing that as well. Now, the other thing that we read about in Dating Essentials for Men by Dr. Robert Glover, he encourages men to get their oral health situation fixed both medically and cosmetically, and he likes to tell people to go down to Mexico to get procedures done.
Yeah.
He said you can save a ton of money, make it a vacation, go down there, and especially if you want to do like whole mouth veneers and stuff like that, you can save a ton of dough doing that over getting it done here in the States.
Yeah, I had no idea. He's talking about in the book here a couple $1,000s per tooth for a veneer. I had no idea it was that expensive. I knew it was pricey, but
wow. I think I've read that by going either to Mexico or Costa Rica, some other countries, you can get it for 30 to 40% of the price, not off, but of.
Wow.
So you can save like 60 or 70% of what it costs in America by going. And, that's, I would I'm not jumping on a plane to Guatemala to get a triple heart bypass, but for veneers.
Yeah, right.
I like the leather it.
So something I want to mention too is I use the water pick.
Yes, I've been wanting to get those for a while.
And in terms of making your mouth feel refreshed, it's nice. You can pour a little bit of mouthwash into the reservoir with the water, and that's kind of nice. It does.
Oh, but that's brisk.
It really gets in. It really gets in there. So I kind of supplement that once or twice a week with my floss picks to kind of make sure I'm getting under the gums and that's where I'm not able to get with them.
That is something I did not research, which is how does a water pick, how do they compare that to flossing? I imagine they're still going to say flossing is the best you can do.
No, they said water pick's better.
Better than floss?
Yes.
The conventional floss?
Yes, because of the pressure of that water pick gets
under
the gums where the floss doesn't go.
All right, fair enough.
Because you can go like direct straight on as well as behind the teeth,
okay.
And it gets under the center part there.
All right.
So
I will verify that.
Yeah.
Do my own research.
Yeah.
That I don't trust you.
Yeah, no.
And if that turns out to be true, I would much rather invest in a water pick than.
That being said,
rapid stuff.
They are a little bit messier, so it makes a mess.
I don't care. Again, I'll just.
If you're in the shower.
That's
the way to do it for you.
I take it in the shower with me and then put it on the charger outside the shower when I'm not using it.
Yeah. So that does limit how often I use the water pick as well.
Now, do you use like distilled water or just tap water?
No, I just use tap water.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm using tap water to brush my teeth.
Yeah, but I would think that, again, you're getting into the blood vessels a little bit more with the water pick than you would with a toothbrush.
Probably.
Maybe not. You got a fancy toothbrush, so that you also brush your gums with, so maybe it's not a factor.
Yeah, I don't think, I haven't heard or seen any recommendations from any of the from water pick or anything that you should be using water for that.
Okay. All right, good.
I think if it might be like an open wound, maybe then you want to be a little bit more careful, but I think
you probably don't want to flat high pressure water in an open wound anyway.
Right. And the other thing too is the water that you're using should be pretty clean coming out of your faucet
That's
if
true.
you're using for other things.
Yeah, it shouldn't be contaminated.
Yeah, I don't think you should.
Unless somebody at the RV park has run over a spigot recently.
Who would do that?
It's some idiot. All right, I think that covers us on teeth. I'm going to make some purchases and
Sounds good.
try to remind myself to keep everybody updated on how that's going as I work through it. All right, so I think it's time to end the episode and go eat a piece of frozen crumble cookie in the spirit of good dental health.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you again soon, Dan.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Wow, you made it through the whole thing, so you must like us at least a little bit, in which case you should definitely follow or subscribe to our show in your chosen podcast app. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.